Alright guys, welcome to another video. We are out here on the sands of Daymar to bring you a video on this new starter ship from Crusader, the Intrepid. Now, starter ship, and one of the things about this ship is it's quite ugly. Just want to swing it around here for you guys real quick. Don't go too far. Rotate for me. There we go. And we can just see the overall design of this ship and just how ugly and asymmetrical it is. Now, I know there's a love for asymmetrical ships such as the Millennium Falcon and the MSR and Star Citizen and the Drake Corsair. But this ship looks like an episode of Making Up Ship from Star Citizen Live. It literally looks like they just stuck a bunch of Crusader assets together and literally made a ship. I don't know if this was made by an intern. Like, I don't know what poor soul was tasked with making this ship, but literally right here, this is just a shrunken version of the Spirit. And then we got Ion, and Ares, Inferno right here. Then we got Spirit coming down the sides right here. And then we got Spirit wings on top of another wing. And, you know, it just doesn't look very good. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of people are currently shelling for this thing on Twitter, saying how good they think it looks, and I think those people, you know, they say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I think in this case the beholder needs their eyes checked, because this is not a good-looking ship. I'm just having some frame issues there. That was weird. Yeah, whoever thinks this is beautiful needs their eyes checked. The gun looks too small for the ship. It looked like it should at least have a size 4 in here, at least. But what we are stuck with is this puny little size 3. One redeeming quality about this ship is that it does fly well. It flies better than most fighters. It has 17 G's of thrust. And every time I come to this part of the ship, I get lag spikes. It's interesting. 17 G's of thrust forward, that's more than the F8, that's more than the F7 Mark II Hornet. And it seems like CIG is bent on making fighters not fly like fighters, and making ships that are not fighters fly like fighters, in order to somehow balance the game by using weapons, which doesn't make sense. Like, if it's a fighter, then it should fly good, it should handle good. Like, that should be a thing. But that's not the case, and this ship is another example of that. I even said this about the Star Lancer, that the Star Lancer is actually a ship that's kind of laid out kind of good. It looks very good on the inside, and it has a very proper layout, and the layout of the ship actually makes sense, but it doesn't fly well. And this is what CIG does. It's either one or two things. They make a ship that looks like shit, that shouldn't fly good, and the ship that you would think that has, you know, a proper layout and configured very, very well, fly like shit, i.e. the Star Lancer Max. Now, I know that it has very good pitch and yaw, but it has less forward thrust than the Polaris, which is laughable, being that it's only like a third of the size, or maybe even less of that, you know. So it's all very interesting, but there's also something interesting that I'm also thinking about with this ship as well, and is this. We all know that the MSR is in a very poor state, and instead of fixing the MSR and making the MSR great, now, you can quote me on this, you cannot quote me on this, but I do believe at some point in the future that we are going to see an Intrepid variant that runs data. And it makes sense because, you know, the MSR is in a poor state. It's only really like what the MSR they herald in the Terrapin. Does the Terrapin run data? I'm not sure of the Terrapin. I don't play the Terrapin, but you know. But you know, we're here inside the cabin, and I do think that if they were to make a data variant, that they could basically wall off this section and just make your little kitchenette thing right here. You have no table, and you know, you have your mirror here. I have my helmet on, but you know, you can see that it's not, you know, not great, but at least we're no longer vampires, so I guess that's a step in the right direction. Got a bed, got a locker, we got a weapons locker, and we got shelves. Does that... That's open, so you can place things here. Back here we have our engineering area. You got components, all size 1 stuff. But I do think, at least maybe if they wanted to, that this could potentially be an area where they have computers. You know, they could stack them up to the ceiling, or you know, they could keep them as small as they are right now. But in any case, I do think that they could easily make a data running variant of this ship, or even make maybe some type of interdictor because of its speed. And you know, I do think they wanted a ship for players that wasn't very strong, you know, that could potentially run away from a fight if it needed to. Like, this is not a fighting ship. If you're fighting with this ship, you're doing something wrong, because it's not what it's designed for. Like, it's not really good at cargo either because of the way the cargo is. I'll show you guys that outside real quick. The cargo is in a very awkward spot underneath this area, and you can see the physics of the ship is not great. So the ship is just really a mixed bag that's not really good at anything. Like I said, you would probably be much better off with an Avenger Titan. It has more guns. It has 2 entrances and 2 exits. You can exit from the cockpit. You can exit from the rear of the ramp. You can actually put vehicles in it to a certain extent. You can put cargo in it. It's just much more versatile as a ship than I think this is. And normally I would say, like, they went for the rule of cool, but in my opinion, this just doesn't look cool, you know? And you know, you're not always gonna have hits, right? Sometimes, you know, CIG, you're gonna have a miss, you know? And this one is a clear miss to me. It's a miss, and on moons you can pick this thing up with your max lift. So if, you know, if you're at an outpost and one of these are on the pad, and you know, and instead of ramming it off, you can just pick it up and move it around quite easily. If someone leaves their ship with their shields off at a mining post on a moon, and you feel like trolling that player, well, you can just turn their ship upside down and put it on top of a building. There's all kinds of things that you can do with the Intrepid, none of which is actually good. So keep that in mind. I know a lot of people like to shill, a lot of people like to, you know, say nice things, but I mean, if you look at this thing, you can just tell that it's not a good looking ship. I mean, if you think that it is, like, I seriously want you to have your eyes checked. This thing is very ugly, and that's all I really have to say about it. It's fun to fly, for sure. It's a fun ship to fly because it has a lot of G's, has a lot of acceleration. But that's its only redeeming quality. Other than that, it's just a ship that really isn't great. And I expect it to be nerfed after the sale. So if you're thinking about buying this ship, I would tell you to just hold off. Go ahead and get yourself an Avenger Titan. You know, it maybe doesn't handle as well as this does, but it's still very comparable, and it's actually more practical and more usable than this ship. And if you guys have found this video to be interesting at all, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Let's talk about it down in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.